Hello and welcome to this special episode of Reality Check. The RBI's latest figures, which suggest that only about 1% of the cash banned under demonetisation has come back into the system, has revived the debate once again on whether the note ban has been effective or not. Critics of the note ban, including this government's political rivals, say that this is conclusive proof that the ban meant to wipe out black money was a failure. As the Congress Party's P. Chidambaram tweeted, the government and the RBI actually only demonetized about 13,000 crore rupees, and the country paid a huge price. India's Finance Minister Arun Jaitley responded by arguing that the real objective of demonetization was not to wipe out cash, but to expand India's notoriously poor tax compliance. As always on Reality Check, facts count, not opinion. And to weigh in on the facts, I am joined by Rajiv Kumar, Vice Chairman of the Niti Aayog, the government premier policy think tank, and someone who has in the past defended the note ban. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate your coming in on the show. But before I come to you, let's just get some clarity on this business that the government is constantly shifting goalposts on the purpose of the note ban. And Mr. Kumar, I want to just play for you our edited version of the Prime Minister's speech on November 8th, 2016, when he announced the note ban, to highlight the 4 areas which he clearly identified as the objective: wiping out black money, corruption, terrorism, and fake currency. Let's watch.
Black money, black money, black money. Role of black money and black money. Of black money, black money, and black money. This fight against corruption, corruption, and corruption earned through corruption. Corruption against corruption to the corrupt. Fake currency, fake 500 and 1000 rupee notes, fake notes, fake currency notes, and fake currency. Problem of terrorism, and terrorism. Terrorism, and terrorism.
17 times black money, 16 times corruption, fake currency, terrorism. Now, moreover, 2 weeks after the note ban, the government told the Supreme Court that they expected a sizable chunk of black money to get wiped out. The Attorney General had actually told the court at that time that about 3 to 4 lakh crores, which doesn't return, of the 15 lakh crores is the prima facie black component. So, Mr. Kumar, before I come to you about all the other stated achievements of the note ban, like digitization, like tax compliance, would you at least concede that based on the original premise set out by the Prime Minister, that the project has failed?
I'm afraid, Vasu, for once I have to strongly disagree with you.
Okay.
Because you yourself said that corruption was mentioned 16 times in the Prime Minister's speech.
Yes.
And I've been an ardent supporter of demonetization, principally on moral grounds, which is to reintroduce, if you like, probity, honesty, integrity in our social and economic system and society.
Okay.
Demonetization was an attempt, in my view, to cleanse the society of the idiom that it doesn't matter how you earn your money. As long as you've got pots of it, you can strut around and go around this capital city or in other metros, not caring a fig. So,
no, Mr. Kumar,
so that is the way. That is the thing about corruption. Hello. Oh. No, but the question is.
But are you saying that this is a moral? You're weighing it on moral principles. I mean, because you're an economist, you head a policy think tank. Shouldn't we stick to something which is more tangible and measurable?
No, it's not. It is tangible. You see, the point, this is what I'm trying to say to you is that I have, since the very beginning, the first article I wrote was about draining the swamp. So that's the first thing, and Prime Minister himself, as you said, and that's what triggered the thought in my mind, he used the word corruption and fight against corruption the most. So he was very clear in his mind as to why he was going for this big major step. And by the way, I am one of the few who had suggested this to the National Security Advisory Board when I was a member of it in 2007-8.
I recall that. You'd written a piece about it. But Mr. Kumar, what's the proof? What's the proof that corruption has reduced? What's the proof that the swamp has been drained?
The proof, you quoted the Attorney General about 3 to 4 lakh crores.
Yes.
Now the fact is, Vasu, that there are 18 lakh accounts in the banks today, in the bank, which are under suspicion. And with the data analytics, you found that about 9.7 lakh accounts of these are those which are highly suspicious. And guess what? The amount of deposits in these accounts is between 3 to 4 lakh crore.
Okay.
Now this money has, the point is that people like Mr. Chidambam, I'm afraid, think and try and put out a narrative that demonetization will succeed only if you had bonfires of money and money in the rivers and the nalis and the nalas of this country. That would have created a social upheaval, a social,
No, but Mr.
So
Kumar,
all that money which is today sitting, just 1 second. All that money which is sitting in this bank account and is being probed today is actually that money which we would call black money, and I'm sure a lot of that would return. 23,480 odd crores has already been seized.
Okay, Mr. Kumar, can I come in now? Because when you say that the idea of the bonfires of cash is something that's being put out by the opposition, I quoted the Attorney General to tell you that the government itself was making that argument back in November 2016. What Mr. Rohtagi said was that 3 to 4 lakh crores which doesn't return is prima facie the blank component. So the idea was that that would get extinguished. So that wasn't necessarily an opposition contention. But let me come to your other point which you made. So let me come to the other point which you made, which is the argument that the government has been making since then. That just because the money has come into the system doesn't necessarily mean that it's all white. That, as you pointed out, there are these 18 lakh quote unquote suspicious bank accounts which have a huge amount of deposits in them, to which you sent out notices and to which you're probing. But realistically, tell me, Mr. Kumar, how much of that cash which has come back in can we assume is black, and how much time and energy is it going to take for our limited tax infrastructure to sit and probe these lakhs and lakhs of accounts?
Well, that's a very good question, Vasu. Because you cited you said you used the right word about the weak tax infrastructure, and I can assure you that this weak tax infrastructure, is being strengthened, almost continuously, and is being digitized to the extent that you might have well received your own tax, or your own return, your own reimbursement of the tax, overpaid tax, through the post and without going anywhere. So all that is being done. For starters, 23,000 crore of rupees has been seized from these accounts. And you know also that on the same basis, it is all related, about 2.5 lakh companies, shell companies, have been closed because they were used to evade the taxation, the direct
but that's
tax,
a different
exercise.
exercise. No, that's a different exercise. 23,000 crores, you say, has been seized.
It's all related.
Okay, 23,000 crores
and
so far has been
did
seized.
Not come back.
Okay. But that is still, some would say,
and 13,000 crore did not come back.
Okay, but in the wider scheme of how much was demonetized, some would say 23,000 crores is still a small amount. Let me take you to the other point which the Prime Minister made about fake currency. And if you look at that, if you look at the figures, let's put that graphic up on the screen. The RBI as of date has only identified 58 crores of fake currency. That's only 0.0038% of all the banned cash, Mr. Kumar. So to unearth,
that's all right, because you see the point is that
that amount you wipe out.
Hang on, it's not
80%.
No, you don't wipe out 80%. You didn't. By the way, you never wiped out 80%. A lot of it was actually exchanged for the new currencies because it was not black. And the fact that people have talked about a huge decline in GDP, etc., I think is also completely a wrong narrative. About the fake currency, as far as I can make out, a lot of fake currency didn't come back to the banking system simply because it wasn't returned. People recognized that they were sitting. For example, a huge amount of fake currency we know existed in some of our neighboring countries, and that didn't come back once the thing was demonetized. So this figure of 58 crore that you talk about, the RBI, is actually the one which some innocent people returned to the commercial bank and they seized it as, as fake currency.
Okay,
so
but I suppose I suppose the argument was that was there such a big fake currency problem to begin with that you had to cite that as a reason for demonetization. But let's leave that debate aside. Let's move to something which is a little more substantial.
But don't leave the let the debate. 1 second, Vasu.
Okay.
Don't leave the debate aside, because is there anybody around who can tell me what the estimate of fake currency is any point of time in the economy? I'm afraid not. And the question is that this was one of the ancillary subsidiary objectives of demonetization.
Okay. Let's now move to something else, Mr. Kumar, which the government hoped would be an outcome of this entire exercise, that we'd actually see a reduction of the amount of cash in circulation in India. And there are two data points we have now which suggest that actually the trend is very much the reverse. Cash in circulation has actually gone up 8% compared to the time of the note ban. So, at the time of the note ban, we had about 18 lakh crores in circulation. Now, that's just crossed 19 lakh crores. So, cash in circulation has actually gone up. Cash savings, according to the RBI's latest report, have actually risen, and they are the highest in 7 years. So, far from India actually moving towards a less cash society, Mr. Kumar, it appears that Indians continue to embrace cash, perhaps even more vigorously than before.
You know, this is such a spurious argument, and I wish you hadn't been taken in by that.
Okay.
See, the absolute amount of cash in circulation or cash in hand, as my friend Mr. Chidambaram has pointed out, I think yesterday or today in a tweet,
yes,
is neither here nor there. You see, because at the time when cash in circulation is written by 8%, the economic activity as measured by nominal GDP has gone up in the 2 years at least at 13% per annum. Please, I am repeating that. The economic activity in nominal terms, not in real terms, has gone up by at least 13% per year, which means that the relevant ratio that you should use is cash to GDP ratio.
Yes.
And that's come down by about 1.3% from 12.1 or 12.3 to something like 10.8%. That's the relevant ratio.
But
because
is that
to
ratio
say just about absolute cash in circulation is neither here nor there.
Okay, but is that ratio, Mr. Kumar, going to remain static? Because if more and more cash is going to enter circulation, isn't our cash to GDP ratio
not at all.
substantially going to go back closer to where it was earlier?
Not at all, Vasu, because this is where you should look at the figures from the fintech segment of our economy.
Okay.
The transactions under BHIM have gone up. There are 2 crore people using BHIM.
Okay.
The transactions are 900 billion rupees. There are 900 billion transactions to a value of 1 trillion rupees. And if you look at the same thing under UPI, you get, I forget the figures, I had them till yesterday, they have gone up similar amount. And then you have the Paytm, etc., etc.
But what about
the digital monetary economy? The digital economy in India, the digital financial economy has grown by leaps and bounds.
Okay.
One of the factors was surely demonetization.
Okay, I'll come to digital in a second, but I want to ask you the figure about, okay, you're contesting the cash in circulation figure, but the fact that cash savings have risen, that savings as a percentage of gross national disposable income, highest in 7 years, suggests that Indians continue to want to save cash in greater numbers than earlier.
Because you see, because there is an issue with the real estate industry. The household, if you look at the decline in investment in the country, the biggest component of that is household savings in fixed assets. Because the real estate industry, being formalized, being under the RERA, is now coming under a bit of a stress, if you like, and then the rates have been going up and so on. So this is why the people are saving more in cash.
Okay, that's an unusual explanation for it. Some are saying, okay, hear me out. Some are saying, Mr. Kumar.
Hang on.
Some are saying that this is
not
because
an unusual explanation.
There is a mistrust.
Household savings are in cash, gold, or real estate.
Okay. Some are saying that
if the two are going down, the third would rise.
Okay. Some are saying that this increased propensity to actually save cash has to do with the fact that there is a mistrust of the banking system. And part of that was actually because of demonetization, where people felt that in order to access the currency, their own hard-earned money in banks suddenly became a huge problem. They had to queue for hours, they had to face extreme distress. And so that's actually led to a hoarding of cash. And can I just tell you, sir, that this is not coming from me, this is coming from the economic survey. The economic survey itself said earlier this year that unless the confidence in banks is restored and that free cash conversion is allowed, people will start to hoard cash. And that's exactly what the figures suggest.
I wish I had the figure of the rise in deposits in the banking system, and that would prove you completely wrong. And I don't know what the economic survey said, but I know that
Okay.
the 70% of our banking system being sovereign guaranteed, it is not a question of the depositors losing their confidence in this Indian banking system.
Okay.
And I don't think we should even talk about it, because that is something which is not going to do us any good.
Okay.
Now, the one issue here, however,
Yes.
the one issue here, however, is
Yes.
that the cash savings, the rise in cash savings, as I said, should be matched with the decline in savings in gold and real estate.
Okay.
Because you will see that it's a mirror picture of the two. Can
Oh.
I add just one thing here?
Can I
This
just
is
move you?
important for me.
Can I move on to tax? Can I move on to tax?
Okay. But I just want to move on to something on the GDP numbers.
I want to come to
Because
GDP in a
there has
second.
been a charge that
Mr. Kumar,
demonetization-
Mr. Kumar, I'm coming to
Okay,
GDP.
okay,
I'm
okay,
coming to
okay.
GDP. I very much want you on GDP.
Sure.
But give me a second to move to tax, because that was the first, in a sense, formal response from the government or from the finance minister when this RBI data came out, and then when everyone jumped up and said, look, this is proof that demonetization is a 99% failure. So he immediately said, look, this was not only about getting rid of cash, black cash, this was about greater tax compliance. And he tweeted out a series of data points to show how, in fact, India has become a more tax compliant country. And we actually looked at some of those numbers, not just in the time periods he tweeted out, but trying to take trying to sort of put them in context to see whether indeed there had been some sort of surge because of demonetization. What Mr. Jaitley claimed, and this is the figure that he cited about the increase in the revenue, income tax collections basically, he said that between 2013-14 to 2017-18, we've seen a growth from 6.3 lakh crores to about 10 lakh crores, which is about a 60% jump, which seems a lot. But if you actually look at it, Mr. Kumar, year by year, year on year, from, in that exact period, we find that there's nothing very unusual about it. 6.3 lakh crores in 2013, 6.9 lakh crores in 2014, 7.3 lakh crores in 2015, 8.4 lakh crores in 2016, and 10 lakh crores in 17-18. So every year, your tax collection is growing organically from anywhere between 10 to 15%. There's nothing to suggest that there has been some huge spike because of demonetization, and we've done the same exercise even for the figures that he cited for the filing of income tax returns. I won't labor the point, but essentially, it essentially tells you the same story.
I think you are belaboring the point, Vasu, sorry.
Okay.
Because the point again here is that you have to estimate that in terms of what is called tax buoyancy. And the tax collection must be related to the growth in the GDP. And the tax buoyancy has traditionally always been around 1.3 to 1.4% or 1.2%.
Okay.
In 2017-18,
Yes.
the tax buoyancy was 2, and that has been the highest ever, because that is what you have to relate it to the GDP, to the level of economic activity. In relation to that, how much does it come back in the tax?
But Mr.
revenue?
Kumar, I was just going by
the
what
other question that you might.
I was just going by what the finance minister put out. He put out tax collection figures, so I just looked at that.
I know, but the point is that I thought you, being such an eminent economic journalist, would go beyond what the finance minister said, because he's obviously just writing a blog. Now the second question is that
Yes.
you have to look at the tax base, and that I know has increased from 3.7 crores to
Yes.
now touching 7 crores.
Yes.
And you cannot deny, nobody can in their right mind deny and honestly deny that the tax base, the tax compliance, both for direct and indirect tax, has increased in the last 2 years. And
Mr.
there is
Kumar,
today a move, there is a push back to the culture that beating the tax rate or beating the tax system is a good thing to do.
Okay, Mr.
And
Kumar,
I don't think you
since
can deny that.
Okay,
And
Mr. Kumar, here's the point. Since you mentioned the increase of the tax base or of the filing of returns, I didn't want to put that graphic up, but we can put that up as well. And you're right that between 2013-14 to 17-18, and these are again figures Mr. Jaitley put out, from 3.8 crores to 6.8 crores, a growth of about 3 crores, 80% is true. But again, come to the point of how it has been growing in those years. Does that show some unusual spike? It does not. In 13-14, it grew at 40%, 14-15, 15%, 15-16, 27%, 16-17, 22%, and 17-18, 27%. So again, no one is denying that it's not grown.
27% is not. 27%
But it's grown.
Is not the highest. 22% is 22% is not higher than before. And there is this spurious argument being put around by some friends saying, oh, this is a result of the seventh pay commission because they got more money, so got more taxpayers. There was a sixth pay commission as well.
Mr. Kumar, in 2013-14, in 2013-14, tax returns grew by 38%.
That's what number that you've given me. Yeah, and maybe right, of course. But the point is that they did grow by 22 and 27%. And today the tax base is 7 crore, which is almost double of what you had in the past. Now, but you know, Basu, I was making a more general point.
Okay.
Can anybody deny
yes.
that there is a better tax compliance culture in the country today, both under the GST and under the direct tax?
How?
Now, if there's somebody who is going to deny that, then my hat's off to the person concerned.
Mr. Kumar, how? I'm saying again, better than what? Better than earlier in terms of in absolute numbers? Have those numbers increased? Of course they have.
There is one number that you, that is
but
1 year that you...
But have those numbers
one number that you
spiked because of demonetization? Has there been anything to suggest that demonetization has created an unusual or a dramatic surge?
Because you have just
the evidence doesn't suggest it.
You have just used 2013-14 number, 38%. Please look at the back data. They have been stagnant for a number of years.
Okay.
And I can challenge you on that.
Okay, fair enough.
Which is why I'm saying, please use that number. Don't take up one number. Here is a consistent 2-3 years where they have grown as much as they have grown.
Okay, we actually did. We mentioned several years, but we're running out of time. I want to ask you on growth, because you've been wanting to talk about it, and I've been wanting to ask you that as well. That on growth, you contest the idea, because now we have the back series out, and that started a whole debate about how the UPA claims that they actually did pretty well compared to the NDA. But you would contest the idea that demonetization actually shaved off a significant percentage of growth. Mr. Chidambaram claims it's almost a 1.5% loss of growth, costing India anywhere between 2.5 lakh crore rupees. You contest that?
Utter nonsense, Vasu. Our highest growth rate in recent times was in the quarter of January to March 2016-17. Mind you, January to March 2016-17, when it was 9.2%. Every quarter after that, the growth rate had been declining till it came to 5.6% in April to June 2017, a loss of 1.6%. And after that,
isn't that a delayed impact?
No,
wasn't that the delayed impact of the note ban?
From 9.2 no, just 1 second. 9.2 in January, March 2016 to 6.8 in October, December 2016, which is the quarter in which the demonetization took place. Okay. Now, between 9.2 to 6.8 is a decline of 2.6%, and between November to now, April to June, is a decline of 1.2%. The point to note, Vasu, is that we were on a declining trend for the last several quarters because of higher NPAs. Because our NPAs went up from about 4 lakh crore in July of 2014 to 10.5 lakh crore in about July of 2017 because of much tougher recognition norms used by the RBI, and the credit offtake. The commercial credit offtake to industry declined. I mean, actually the growth rate slowed down to 1% to industry, negative to medium and small enterprises. These figures you can check. And in a year or two, the actual commercial credit to even large industry had declined. That is the reason for this decline that you've seen.
Okay.
Just a second.
Mr. Kumar, what Mr. Chidambaram says. Okay, let me just come in. Let me come in. What Mr. Chidambaram has said to that is that fair enough, let's assume that these terrible NPAs was the legacy of the UPA, but his question is, why were these loans not recalled? Why have they been evergreened? Also, how many loans post 2014 have turned NPAs? This question was asked in Parliament and he says no answer was given.
The answer would be given, but the fact is that this question, he, as a finance minister, he would know very well that until Raghuram Rajan came and said no more evergreening, until he said the stressed loans should also be counted as non-performing assets,
Right.
all our commercial banks were in the habit of doing so, and there was no supervision. And therefore, the recalling of these bank loans is not so easy because there are contracts. And nobody in the government would be able to do so because all of this is done by the independent bank boards. So this is such a completely spurious argument.
Okay, my absolute last question to you, that were you the person who was in charge of taking that decision and there was an opportunity in hindsight, looking back at all that has happened after demonetization, that were you in the position to take that decision, would you order demonetization? Looking back in hindsight, you would still do it?
As I said, Vasu, I had suggested in 2008, and I would do it any day because to cleanse my economy, to formalize it, and to improve the tax compliance behavior of all of us.
All right. Okay. Well, that's as clear as direct as we can expect from you. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, for joining us on Reality Check. Thanks very much. Well, that's it on Reality Check. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned to NDTV for much more.